Hey guys, this is 012 Boku coming at you with another movie review today, and actually excited about this one. I also want to apologize for how my last review, The Living Daylights, was, because once again, sound cut out, the frame rate got choppy, and I froze in place, and once again, it's patchy at best. Don't know what happened. Don't like what happened. And one of my friends told me I may have to delete some stuff from my computer to make the frame rate go faster or better. And if I have to, I will. And we'll just keep at it. Like, also, I'm thinking it could also be a sound thing to where I need to just get better sound from my computer if that is the case too. So probably something I need to work on. But for today, we are going to do the next Bond adventure. We are getting close to the end. And the next Bond adventure is License to Kill. Yeah, License to Kill. Good stuff. The last movie that Timothy Dalton did, but once again, his two movies for what he contributed, The Living Daylights and License to Kill. Mwah. Good stuff. Good stuff. And can't really say anything too much better about it at the moment, but we definitely will, because License to Kill is very great, and because this was still back in the day where you got awesome movie pamphlets. There's the pamphlets. I really wish they still did this with movies nowadays. I don't know why they don't. Probably to save on paper, but hey, I get it. Let's see here. But this one is about starting out with a grabbing of a drug lord that James Bond and which still played by Timothy Dalton, greatly played by Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton was so great in this movie, really good. I think this performance is actually better than Living Daylights, because Timothy Dalton, like, this story is about like vengeance, trying to save who you need to save, and like him getting vengeance for what happened to Felix Leiter, who's actually played by where is he? Or does it say? Oh, it doesn't say within the book, but I know it's David Hedison. David Hedison came back from Living Daylights to reprise the role for Felix Leiter, and worked really good. And this one was, if I remember, it's 1989. This movie, so you got to think from 71 to 89, quite the jump in years. Almost 20 years. It was like 18 years. When he reprises the role again. So hey, but it's cool that that happened. But what happened is that Felix Leiter, once again played by David Hedison, and James Bond, played by Timothy Dalton, try to track down this drug lord. And this drug lord, Felix Leiter, was trying to track down, since he works for the CIA, but he was joint working with the DEA to bring down the this drug lord named Franz Sanchez, who was selling I forget if it was heroin or cocaine. It was one of the two, because I know they can both be white and stuff like that. But it was heroin or cocaine, and Franz Sanchez was selling this stuff. And what happened is he at the beginning of the film was going to this island to get his girlfriend, played by Talisa Soto, named Lupe Lamora, and or by, you could say, not his girlfriend but his mistress. And Franz Sanchez is greatly played by Robert Davi. I believe Robert Davi's American Italian, but man, he was so good as this drug lord Franz Sanchez, and he even looked it really well. So I mean, you got to say it was just great stuff. But like, yeah, he like Lupe was with this other guy she was seeing, and Franz Sanchez like killed all his men with his cronies and stuff. One of the biggest ones being Dario, played by a very young-looking Benicio del Toro. I think this was his. I think he said this was his first or second film that he did. So this was another film that got Benicio del Toro right off the track because he looks really young. I don't know if he's. Yeah, I don't think. Well, actually, I can show you guys really quick. Know if you can see him there or tell, but that is him standing right next to Timothy Dalton Bond there. That's Benicio del Toro right there. Once again, very young looking, very, very suave, very good looking too. Because I admit, Benicio del Toro in his later years develops that ruggedness, which he has that ruggedness here, but like you can tell he was a good looking guy and not as rugged and just like stone chiseled as he is in his later films. But what happens is Dario and Fran Sanchez, his other guys, like they catch the guy Lupe's with, and Fran Sanchez is like, "What did he promise you? His heart?" And then like Fran Sanchez looks over at Lupe, and then looks over at the guy, and he tells Dario to be like, "Cut out his heart." And then you have Dario take out the switchblade, and they're taking the guy up back, and then Franz just takes Lupe, bends her over on the bed, and starts whipping her with a cattle crop, I think it is. So he's whipping her in the back with the cattle crop, and Franz Sanchez is like, not a word. And then, she's starting to cry, and then she hears her boyfriend screaming in pain as they're cutting out the dude's heart, probably, literally. And, Felix Leiter and James Bond, they get to this island where they saw Sanchez, and what happens is that they're making they see two of Sanchez's guys there waiting by a car, but then Lupe, Sanchez, and Dario are in this other car, and they're trying to blast at the DEA agents, and of course also Felix Leiter. One of the DEA agents, I forget the guy's name, but he's played by Grand L. Bush, another big 80s actor, if you guys know who he's from. Also, once again, Sanchez was a villain in this movie, but like they were the two FBI agents and Die Hard, named Big Johnson and Little Johnson, and Grand L. Bush being the DEA agent, and this one was Little Johnson. And cool to see him in because Grand L. Bush was definitely an 80s actor, also in the Lethal Weapon movies, and just, cool actor to always see because Grand L. Bush was a great 80s actor for the time. And 90s actor. I think he did stuff in the 90s too, but after the 90s, I think he retired or didn't have as many opportunities. But probably should look up to see where that guy is now because I do like Grand L. Bush quite a bit. You also, sorry about that. As I got on that tangent of Grand L. Bush, you have it to where, Bond and Leiter are going after Sanchez. Sanchez actually, as his men are a distraction, he uses a plane to get inside of his little jetliner plane to take off. And there's this cool stunt where Bond and Felix Leiter are trying to catch him in the plane, but the helicopter can't go as fast as the plane, or they don't know how to stop his plane because he's trying to reach Cuban airspace. And, if they get to Cuba, they can't touch him. And Bond just looks at Leiter, and he says, I have a way we could do this. And Leiter's like, well, how are we going to? And he's like, let's go fishing. And then he takes like the little, because I think it was one of those rescue helicopters, and he takes the pulley winch from the helicopter, gets on, he takes his parachute, like drops down, he's using the pulley winch to drop down on the plane, and they lower him there to where he gets back on the wing of the plane and a few other things. And with the pulley winch, the Bond hooks the tail of Sanchez's plane on it, and then they pull Sanchez's plane up to basically capture him and arrest him. And during all this too, is you have Felix Leiter trying to get to a wedding where James is his best man, and they're trying to get to this wedding. What happens is, as they've arrested Sanchez, they're flying over the church, and as they're flying over the church, you have Leiter and Bond parachute into the wedding to where they drop right on the front steps to make it to the wedding. And, Della, his soon-to-be wife, is all happy and everybody's like shocked and impressed. It was an awesome opening for that movie. And there's actually a thing where they're enjoying the wedding parties, the wedding party and things like that. Bond's having a good time with Leiter. They have all their friends. There's this one friend in the movie that I don't know how Leiter knew him. Maybe it's because he helped him out with some of the cases there. But he has a friend named Sharky, Frank McRae, who for the first part of this movie is a partner of Bond as well. And they actually go and investigate some of the stuff from Sanchez. And what happens is you actually have during the wedding, you have this one DEA agent named Killefer, who is a friend of Felix Leiter's, and Ted Killefer. And Ted Killefer is played by Everett McGill, and he apparently is escorting from Sanchez, and Sanchez offered $2 million to whoever sprung him from prison or before going to prison, and Killefer, being this money-grubbing guy, helps Sanchez gets away, hits the driver in the head with the butt of his shotgun, and they go into the river or the ocean, wherever they are in Key West, Florida, where that was. I think it was more than likely the ocean. So they go over the bridge into the ocean, and there's these divers that come out of nowhere who were part of the front of Sanchez's with one of his friends, Milton Crest, greatly played by Anthony Zerba, who uses his fishing corporation to help Sanchez transport the heroin and or cocaine around the country or around the world to wherever they need to. And that's how Sanchez and Killefer get away from the agents, is that Crest divers come to help them out. And sadly as that is, before the beginning part ends, is you have Della, James, and Felix being the last ones there at the party. Della has her guardian. She's like flipping it around her finger, and she's like, "Hey, James, the next one to catch this is the next one who, gets married." James looks at it sadly, and he's like, no, thank you, Della, but thanks anyway. And what happens is Della calls back to James. She's like, "James," and she throws her garter at James. James catches it, sort of looks at it sadly and apologetically, and gets back into the car. And Della, confused, looks at Felix, and she said, "I say something wrong?" And Felix actually gets close to her, and they sort of embrace, and he's like, he was married once, but it was a long time ago. And I have to say, just that little attention to detail, going back to something that happened so many films ago, I've loved. Because even though Bond is played by different actors, different people, you can see how they kept with the same story, same thing, same character, and where even though we're all the way into the 80s version of Bond, Bond still doesn't want to get married because he knows if he does, what could happen again to him. And it's definitely, with what happened to, I forget, was it? Oh, Tracy. What happened to Tracy really just messed him up, and it's sad because at some point I would love to see Bond get married and have that fairy tale ending, but as we know with Trevelyan and Goldeneye coming up, as I won't mention here, but Goldeneye will be the next film, and I think as we've heard from several other villains throughout Bond's career, MI6 and, protecting the world to peace and Queen and Country is one of his true loves, and that's hard to argue because he is an agent through and through. But what happens is after James leaves, Felix, Leiter, and Della go back into the house. You have I think two men there that I think Leiter knows is Sanchez's man. He tries to protect Della. He's like, "Take me, but leave Della out of this." Dario comes out of nowhere, blasts Leiter from behind, and they're like embracing Della. Dario's telling Della to shush. Della's like all frightened and scared. Really sad scene. There's actually this thing where we go to Crest's like fishing emporium where it's like these factories, this little hideout, and you have Felix Leiter all tied up. You have Sanchez there. You know, Dario opens this door that leads to a trap door that has a shark come into it, where it looks like they're gonna feed Leiter to the shark, and Leiter actually looks at Sanchez and Dario and he says, "Where's my wife?" And Dario's like, "Don't worry, we gave her a nice honeymoon." And then like Leiter, I believe, knows that Della's dead. We have the impression that she's dead too, but we don't know what the exact thing of it was. But like Leiter was trying to get at them, but he can't. And then like you have Sanchez as they're about to dump the meat into the water to attract the shark and also weigh Leiter down. He's like, "I want you to know this is not personal; it's business." And as Leiter goes down into the water with the meat, he actually goes, "I'll see you in hell." And, Sanchez with this great evil light, he's like, "No, no, no, my friend. Today is the first day of the rest of your life." And he, like, gives one of those smiles, and it's like, wow, that's just messed up. And then you see where the shark bites into Leiter. You can tell it was either, within the waist or in the legs, but you just hear, like, Leiter scream, and he, like, spins around, like, Crest is horrified, but he keeps watching. Killifer, Killifer revealed himself as the betrayer, and he tells Leiter, he's like, "Sorry, old buddy, but 2 million's a big chunk of dough." So, admitting that he betrayed Leiter, and Killifer looks sick and, like, throws up. One of the other henchmen of Crest, like, looks sick too, and it's a very powerful, big scene. And I'll admit, it can be, for 1989, can be very disturbing, and is pretty much still a disturbing scene because both The Living Daylights and License to Kill were darker films, as is Goldeneye. And I really think that the darker films are where it was at in Bond because a lot of the 80s into all the way up to Goldeneye were dark Bond films, and I actually like where Bond can get a little dark and gritty, not all the way, but where we actually get to see hints of it. Not unlike the new Bond, where it's completely dark and gritty, and it's like, this is all this movie is, really? Sorry, Daniel Craig. Want to be a fan of yours, man, and you're a good Bond, but not a full fan of yours, I should say. But I mean, not that it's your fault. I just think, your movies have been written terribly. Not your fault, though. And what happens is Bond's getting ready to head back to England, but he notices there's a huge mob cop cars. A person tells him some drug lord escapes. He leaves the airport, goes back to Leiter's house to where he finds Della there on the bed dead, and he's feeling bad about that already as he finds Della dead. And then he goes into Felix's office to where he sees a body bag, and he opens it to where we see Leiter inside the bag all bloodied. We don't know if he's alive or dead, but then he takes out this page, and in a classic thing of showing that he gets upset, but not fully emotionally, but we can see the anger in his eyes and in his gestures. There's this page that said, he disagreed with something that ate him, and like Bond just takes the page, crumples it up, throws it, and then he's like, you can tell he's flustered, you can tell he's upset, he wants to do something about this. Luckily Felix is talking, he's trying to call out for Della, but he doesn't know. And then basically Bond is able to save Leiter's life. Someone picks up the phone calling him, and he's like, call an ambulance over. Like Sharky and Bond are there at Leiter's. Leiter they were able to save, but he was gonna lose one of his legs because of what the shark did, and that part sucked. And you basically have this thing where Sharky and Bond were doing their best to get vengeance for Leiter, and they're going to look out for him. What happens is they go to Crest's compound to look up things. They find Killefer there. Bond actually takes out Killefer because, like, he knocks Killefer into the trapdoor where Killefer was unhinging the trapdoor to put Bond in. But, Sharky comes in to, like, throw Killefer off balance. And then Bond fights with Killefer, puts Killefer over the chain. Killefer's almost about to go into the pit holding onto the chain. He's like, there's $2 million in there. I'll split it with you. And then, Bond taking the case. He, like, has this grimace on his face. And he's like, go ahead. You keep it. You earned it, old buddy. Throws the $2 million at Killefer. The case opens up with the money and him going into the water. And then all of a sudden, Killefer's trying to swim out, and the shark right from like either the chest or the stomach just bites into Killefer, killing Killefer. We see Killefer being dragged down into the ocean. And then you have Sharky and Bond looking down, and Sharky's like, what a tragic waste. Looks at Bond, Bond looks at him like, huh? And he's like, what? And he's like, the money. So it's like, it's just like, it's a funny thing. Like, you think he feels bad for Killefer, but he's like, no, it's the $2 million of money. I feel bad for the money, because probably both Bond and him could have used it. Even though I don't think they would have. It was dirty money. So, hey. What happens is they go after Crest next. And as they're trying to sneak aboard, Crest ship, like, Bond uses one of Sharky's boats to go diving. And, like, he finds the Wave Crest, Milton Crest ship, gets aboard it, like, sabotages a shipment of cocaine and heroin. While he was doing that, sneaking around, he finds Lupe, threatens Lupe, and, Lupe's like, you think I want to be here with him? He threatens me, and goes into that little spiel. Like, Bond actually tells Lupe not to say anything, with which Lupe throughout this film is like a semi-ally to Bond. She doesn't really get Bond away or does anything. I think she just wants out of Sanchez's life. She actually does fall in love with James, but it's sort of like an infatuation. They never really go anywhere. It gets close, but, Talisa Soto and Timothy Dalton, really don't, like, tie the whole knot in here. I should say, Lupe and Bond really don't tie the knot. But Talisa Soto was all right as Lupe. She wasn't the most, like, energetic Bond girl, but she was sort of like the classic woe is me Bond girl, to where she was there. Like, she would have definitely fit more into the 60s mold than the 80s mold, but hey, I liked her a lot better than Tanya Roberts, let's say. Yeah, like Tanya Roberts and Mary Goodnight, and Holly Goodhead, and some of those other Bond women from the 70s who were sort of like, sorry guys, but worthless in my opinion. We also find out during that, when he's hiding from Lupe, that, two men from the Wave Crest come up in a little fishing boat. They have Sharky's boat, where Sharky was hunting sharks. And what happens is they found Sharky, and they basically tortured him and killed him, and he's hanging up with the sharks, all bloodied, and you can tell he's dead as he's just hanging there. So Bond's ticked about that he lost Sharky. And as we have men delivering the heroin and also depositing money into this one pontoon plane, you have Bond basically sneak aboard, get away from the Wave Crest men, sneak aboard the pontoon plane. He's also like skiing on the pontoon plane, which is an awesome stunt, which Timothy Dalton did partly himself, to where he was just being skied on a speedboat, like regular speedboat, going, I think, like at mild setting levels, so where it was sort of fast but not too fast. But the actual ski stunt was done by a professional skier with the plane. So both blends were done really well again, and it was just flipping awesome to see. I mean, you can't hate a stunt like that. And there's a fight within the plane that was just like awesome. And like Bond learns that he has a lot of Sanchez's money from the heroin shipment as well. So Bond takes that and tries to use it for his advantage. As he continues on, he finds out there's another closed circuit CIA agent who was working with Felix Leiter, and it's a Pam Bouvier, played by Carrie Lowell, who actually I liked Pam Bouvier a lot. She had a toughness to her. She was strong. She was like pretty independent, not as bad as we see in some films nowadays. So you could actually see Pam Bouvier doing what she needed to do, and it was done fairly very well. I mean, I liked how Pam Bouvier fit in this, and Carrie Lowell did a great job playing this this character. We also have to where like Bond at this point goes rogue as well, to where he renounced, because like M went down to Florida to see him. Like Bond wants to help out Lighter, or M is like, it's not a problem. M is still also played by Robert Brown. The last movie we're seeing Robert Brown in too. So Robert Brown, played a decent M, and I actually enjoyed what he did in the films. But yeah, last film of Robert Brown, and like Bond didn't want to go back. Like M's like, well, I'm going to arrest you, but Bond's like, no, we can't go back yet. Somebody has to help later. And he's like, we can't have this happen. You have to come back. And he's like, well, no, I gotta have justice. There has to be something done for later. And what happens is like M isn't having it, so Bond's like, well then I tender my resignation. So we're not a country club 007. And then, Bond doesn't say anything, he just stares at him, and he's like, so be it. Effective immediately, your license to kill is revoked. And what happens is Bond looks like he's taking out his gun, and he looks at it, just stares at it with a smile, and he's like, farewell to arms. And he, hits a guard, kicks another one into M, not really hurting M, but he basically takes out the guards to get away. There's a guard trying to shoot at him from the tower that they're on, but M grabs the gun, and he's like, no, too many people. So basically trying to not scare people, but also to protect people too. And he looks after Bond with just a shock face, and he's like, God help you, Commander. And it's just a cool scene too. But when he gets to Pam Bouvier, he finds Pam Bouvier, tells her what happened to Leiter, how Leiter and her other contacts aren't coming. Dario's there to take her out because they found out about it too. So Dario was there to take her out, and this whole thing starts a bar fight between Bond, Dario, and Bouvier with everybody else there, which is, funny stuff. Chairs flying, bottles flying, certain people are getting shot up a little bit. You also have this one guy who runs at Bond with a swordfish, and Bond blocks him with a chair. Timothy Dalton's reaction's fucking hilarious as the nose goes through the chair, and he's like, like that, did that really just happen? I like the guy holding it. Yeah! Yeah! it was fun and ridiculous. Absolutely loved it. So, Pam Bouvier and James Bond get away. And as they're starting the boat, Bond's driving the boat, Pam gets on the boat, Dario shoots her in the back, and Bond believes Pam's dead, but Pam gets up, and she was wearing a bulletproof vest on her chest and back that protected her. And Bond, and she wants to come with Bond. Bond doesn't allow it, but they both get close and sensual. And Pam Bouvier is Bond's love interest for this one. So, they get close and come together. Bond wants to keep her safe, though, throughout the entire movie. She wants to help, but he's saying, no, this is my responsibility. I don't need anyone else to help me. But she really wants to help him out. So they head down to Mexico City, which Franz Sanchez completely controls. Everything is under his control. The president, the cops, the police, basically Sanchez lives like a king, and they spend this whole movie trying to bring him down from the inside, which actually they cause a lot of insider betrayal, accidentally or truthfully, between Sanchez and his men, between Sanchez and Crest and everybody else. And Bouvier and Bond work together, and during this whole time, you have M trying to reel in Bond to arrest him to bring him back to the country, as he's considered now a loose cannon. M does what he can. M does what he can, or does. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I'm messing that up. But like I said, unfiltered and unscripted here, guys. M does what he can. M does what he can. Oh, and there we go. M does whatever, he can to bring Bond back. So he sends a couple agents out there to stop him. You have Moneypenny, who's still worried about James, who's trying to keep up on reports of James because she's really worried. And M's like, don't worry about it. It's not your problem. As soon as M walks away, you have Moneypenny, once again, still played by Caroline Bliss. And this is the last film of Caroline Bliss as well, playing Moneypenny. She picks up a phone and she goes, Q branch, please, to where she calls Q. And Q, during the film, actually also comes down to Mexico City to help Bond out. So where Q is basically also this side ally of Bond, helping Bond side by side, taking down Sanchez. And that was actually cool to see how Q had a pretty sizable role in License to Kill. I thought that was just a fun thing to see Desmond Llewellyn, who still plays Q, have a great role in this film because it was actually bigger than some of the previous films. Yes, he's featured heavily in a couple other films too, but this one, License to Kill, he was like pretty good front and center for like the second half of the film. And let's see, a couple other people we could say, Killifer was in the credits, so Albert Miguel, yeah. A couple other people we could say, there's also Truman Lodge, a insurance man or banker man of Franz Sanchez, played by Anthony Stark, who is pretty good in the role. You have Wayne Newton as well, who plays Professor Joe Butcher, who is the front to Sanchez's operation, to where he's like playing this televangelist. There we go, playing this televangelist, trying to like be this whole holy community and whatnot, but it's just a front for the labs of Franz Sanchez's heroin and cocaine. And I guess Wayne Newton wanted to be a part of a Bond film for years, and they finally got him to play this like sort of like dopey villain character who's the front for Franz Sanchez's work. And like going throughout this film, you have a lot of other cool things as well with License to Kill here. Like, it's just got a great story. It's a great story of Bond trying to get vengeance for what happens to Leiter. Him going out, like, playing devil's advocate. It's like I said, it's dark. It's a tad sickly at times. But like, you love it because you can see where Bond wants this justice to happen. He does not want to have Franz Sanchez get away, and he wants to stop him at all costs. And there's just these beautiful locations in Mexico City, Florida, a lot of other places they went to, and great score by 80s composer Michael Kamen, who also I forgot. I think Michael Kamen also did the music for the Die Hard movies and for the Lethal Weapons. So you can see where Michael Kamen like fits in here because you can hear his style fit into Bond, which his style actually worked pretty well to the films. And I think this is where John Barry stepped away or was done with the Bond films. I don't know why, but this is where he finally stepped away from it, and he doesn't do another score after this. And this is where also David Arnold not right away. It'll be after GoldenEye, but David Arnold takes over as one of the main composers for the Bond films after this. And you just have a lot of good like story elements, stunts, like the whole truck stunts they do in here with the Kenworth trucks, phenomenal stuff at the end, cool stuff between Bond and Franz Sanchez. The fight at the end of the movie is great. The little battles they have at the cocaine or heroin plant are awesome. Franz Sanchez taking out his own men because Bond's made him so paranoid he doesn't know who to trust. And a lot of Franz Sanchez's men were actually looking after themselves and not giving a damn what Franz Sanchez has wanted. And I will spoil the ending part for you, so if anybody does not want to hear this ending part, do not listen now, because it's about to be spoiled. At the end, when Sanchez and Bond are fighting, like they're like fighting on top of the trunk, of the Kenworth trunk, which is a gas tanker, which actually has the Colombian pure cocaine or heroin inside of it. And what happens is while they're still driving, Sanchez goes outside the truck, tries to cut at Bond. He has a machete. He accidentally cuts the brake line. So as the truck starts driving, you have Bond and Sanchez fighting with each other. The driver's trying to drive the truck and he's trying to brake, but as he's going, he can't stop the truck. So he jumps out of the truck, and you have both Franz Sanchez and James Bond go over the side to where the tanker truck goes over the side. You have one part where Sanchez is laying on one end and getting covered in with gas. Like, Bond got a little thrown away and he's all messed up too, like trying to crawl away and he's like getting away. But then you have Sanchez come up, get the machete right in his face, and he like pulls him up and gets him on top of the rock, and he's about to hit him with the machete. And like, there's this actual thing where Bond actually secretly becomes an ally of Sanchez and tricks him into being his friend. That's how Bond actually gets inside. So Sanchez actually starts trusting him, considering him like a friend. And Sanchez, who's waving, raising his machete, he's like, "You could have had everything." And you have this part where Bond's like, "Don't you want to know why?" And Sanchez actually squints, and like, you have this lighter that Bond takes out, and it's the lighter that he got from Della and Felix, this Zippo lighter that shoots up a big flame. And he turns it over so Sanchez can see it, and the lighter says, from Felix and Della to James, love Della and Felix. And then what happens is Sanchez notices, like, Bond lights it, catches Sanchez on fire. Sanchez is like flailing on fire, goes through the tanker truck explodes, killing him and Sanchez if the fire didn't do that already. But it's such an awesome vengeance part of it at the end. You could have had everything. Don't you want to know why? Burn, literally. And it's like, fucking awesome. Just fucking so awesome at the end of this film. License to Kill is such a great movie. I mean, it's got great stuff. Once again, greatly directed by John. Yeah, greatly directed by John Glenn. Last movie that John Glenn does, and I think John Glenn goes out with a bang for this one. Great story, written by Michael G. Wilson and Richard Maybaum again. Their collaborations for all the 80s films have been friggin' great. And, I mean, what can you say? This is a great film. License to Kill, I'll give you the rating right now, 10 out of 10. Excellent film. Excellent film, great action, great story, great, spy work done at times in this movie. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. I mean, it's definitely a great action film. If you guys have not seen this, I would definitely recommend it. It was a great film, one that you should all see in your Bond collection things. Now, once again, as you guys know below, let me know what you thought of License to Kill. Do you guys like this film? Do you agree? Because, like, a lot of people thought this film got way too dark at times, like it's dark and not fitting the mold of what, the movies and things should be. But I think, I beg to differ. I really think that this, film fits and puts it into perspective, because yes, it does get dark at times, but I think it was a greatly done film, because once again, everybody's saying, oh, Daniel Craig was the only one to do the vengeance plots and be the best at it and be angsty. Look at Timothy Dalton in these two films, in The Living Daylights and License to Kill. When you upset Bond, he got mad. And like I said, there were instances where Roger Moore, Sean Connery, even with George Lazenby, where if anything happened to their partners or friends, they were ticked, they were mad, and they only had one thing to get at the villain. So I don't know why people think Daniel Craig is the only Bond to do this. All the other Bond films had instances of like that as well, and License to Kill is the huge, like, purveyor of that, because this whole film is about getting vengeance in many ways. Oh, and on a side note, John Glenn said the original title of this film was License Revoked, but they changed it to License to Kill because their producer in England thought people in America wouldn't understand what license revoked meant. And I mean, I know what revoked means. It means taken away, but or lost. So hey. So, just let me know what you guys thought of the film. Leave anything down in the comment section below. What you like about it, what you hate about it. Did I do a good review this time? I want to know what you guys just think. But until then, This is 012 Boku coming at you with another movie review, and I will see you guys again, alright? Deuces.